Hello and welcome to the Morning Skate Podcast. I am Matt Moody, joined by DJ Mitchell, here to go through the Thursday, April 11th NHL Daily Fantasy Slate. And DJ, it's a very sad week of NHL Daily Fantasy, so
Mm.
how are you doing as we wrap up the regular season and limp into the playoffs in the DFS lobbies?
I gotta tell you, I like you warned me that it was pretty bad out there. I saw a $15 5K to first, and I considered us not even recording. I mean, it is unbelievably stupid. They're like, the Masters starts tomorrow. No one's gonna be, gambling after that. I don't understand.
Yes,
Yeah,
they famously golf at night without sunlight.
yes, in Georgia. Yeah, no, it's just it's so stupid. But here we are. We're gonna, we got to do it. Other than that, did you mention why I wasn't on my show? Did you say it?
I did, yes.
Okay, yeah, that happened. So that was great. I'm
Yeah.
no longer a harlot. I'm an honest man now.
Yes, your taxes,
Are
your
they
fiance
better?
just gonna fucked on taxes for the next X number of years. I don't know. I assume she's
Uh,
subject to being screwed if you file jointly or whatever. I don't know. I'm not
I
married. Who
no,
cares?
that
I
horseshoe
don't.
falls. That horseshoe might
I
fall
don't.
right out of my butt, and then she's fine. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's yeah, that was great. Honestly, during the eclipse, it was really cool. I mean, I'll post the picture soon. I'm just waiting to get some of the better ones, but the real camera. And my friend took them, and I was like, "Hey, when are you gonna have those?" Like, I'm gonna work on that right away, and I still don't have them 2 days later. So I'm like, "Hey, whatever." But we'll get to the slate. No one really cares about that, I'm sure. But yeah,
Yeah.
no
No. I mean,
longer.
far.
Or
Yeah.
what?
No. No. Well, I mean.
Make your
Anyway.
joke. Make your joke.
I was not going to make a joke. I was actually going to pat myself on the back for doing what was easily my best show of the year on Tuesday. I was fully prepared. I wasn't winging it. I had everything ready to go. It was like 13 games in 51 minutes. I believe I even said early on, like, oh, I don't want to like do 55 minutes on a 13 game slate. And then I listened back and I'm like, oh wait, that was actually really good. So I'm here to undo all of that goodwill that I got from our audience on Tuesday, to ramble on some nonsense, to say some shit that's incorrect, because who has time to look into 20 teams at 7 o'clock the day before the Masters, with baseball and a Wednesday night of hockey going on. It's far easier to do podcasts at 2 in the morning. When you've been looking into the slate for 10 hours, well, not 10 hours, but when you've been dead for 2 hours, just digging into tomorrow's slate. Like, that's the best time to do a podcast. Unfortunately, fortunately, I need sleep as a human, so can't really do that all too often. But the last thing before we get into things is that Thursday is the MSP final in MSP Madness. We started with 12. We are now down to 6. Or Jesus Christ, we're not down to 6. We're down to 2. That is how finals work. MacD Man 11, Mr. Educational in the Discord, faces off with the absolute Sunrun King himself, Nolt0032. Matt, MN Matt in the Discord. He had 3 hat tricks on his team yesterday. He had Stamkos, Slafkovsky, and McKinnon. He's been running the freaking 3 stars of the night contest for like a week now. I think he has 4 wins. And his only loss came on a 2-game slate, hilariously. So like, DraftKings LOL. But yeah, I can't open up the slate or the lobby anymore without seeing Matt at the top of every leaderboard. So I'm very frustrated. We're all Mac men here on this show. So go Mac D Man 11. I will not Venmo Matt $120 after the week he's had. Just my fingers won't do it. So please, Mac D Man, get that W for us. Make us proud here at the Morningscape Podcast. All right, 10 games ahead of us, DJ. Lots to get into. A lot of questionable incentive situations, a lot of teams that must win, a lot of new faces and new places, and let's just get into things. So,
Well,
where do you
yeah,
want to
where
start?
would I? I was just thinking about maybe placing a wager on some of the games potentially, and I was wondering if you had any locations I might be able to place a wager on a game if I so choose so in a state that's legal to do said activities before we get started.
That is highly highly suspicious. It's almost like you knew what the next step was on this podcast. That is sponsored by the DraftKings Sportsbook. We know hockey games move fast, but with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL, you can score faster than anything happening on the ice. This week, new customers can bet $5 and get 200 instantly in bonus bets. We will go through 10 hockey games for you that you can pick and choose from. Again, keep an eye on those new faces, new places, young guys getting extra run, getting extra opportunities. Now's the time to find those long shot bets. Speaking of long shot bets, boy, how about those Masters? Yeah. Good luck on the golf streets, fellas. I can't wait to lose. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app with code THPN. New customers bet just $5 on the NHL and get 200 instantly in bonus bets. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code THPN. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit www.1800gambler.net. I would just like to note, no particular reason, that DJ has 55% of Milano Grillo over on the Underdog Best Ball Golf Streets. So, DJ, keep listening. In New York, call 8778-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available from problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ctpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction, void in Ontario, bonus effects expire 168 hours after issuance. See dkng.com/hockey for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources. NHL, the NHL Shield, registered trademarks of the National Hockey League. Yes, so DJ, care to comment on anything that I may have slipped in
there? It wasn't that difficult. He's in all four majors and not atrocious. Like, I get him in the 9th round. I get him in the last round. I'm taking him every single time. I mean, I wasn't jumping up the board, multiple rounds to get Emiliano Grillo. I just was waiting my time. And when he slipped, I took him. And that was about 60% of drafts. I think it's 58% now, by the way. It only went up.
Huh. Okay. That's
Is he going to win the Masters? Is he going to win the Masters? I don't think so. I don't think so. I would think that no.
I love Grillo. I just don't get it. I don't get it. Come on, dude.
Can you just tell me, like, is it just being overexposed to an individual golfer? Is that the problem with it, you think? Or is it... I just don't understand. People are taking guys at that point that are in 2 majors, like almost guaranteed, barring an absolute insane run. And he's in 4, and he's just as good. Like, I don't... Like,
but
is he that much worse? Okay, what?
Like, I don't know. Like, are you taking him to like top 10 at the British Open? Because that's basically what you're doing 58% of the time. Like, because you can probably just bet that for at like 20-1 and get paid off.
I should probably stop drafting him. I just keep saying, all right. And like every time I don't take him now, it's like, okay, I'm up in 6. He's ADP 2. If he gets to me, I got to take him. And it just keeps happening. It's like nobody wants this guy but me. Okay. No one cares.
Well, I can't talk. I haven't done a single whatever it's called, albatross or whatever draft. So I'll do some tonight, but
I'm at 110.
Yeah, that's
I'm getting
absolutely
40.
Absolute insane degenerate sicko shit. So speaking of that, let's talk about a slate where you can at most win $5,000 on the night and spend an hour doing so. Where do you want to start off?
We kick it off with just truly the most disgusting, miserable game on the slate. Happy Elimination Day to all my Buffalo Sabres friends, family, and loved ones. They are home. They are minus 135 favorites at home against the Washington Capitals. They are favorites, plus 114 for the Washington Capitals. The Sabres are completely dead, eliminated, as I just mentioned. Are we just going right now and betting Washington?
Yes, we are. What the fuck?
I don't understand. I honestly, like, I forgot that was... Stop everything. I'm also going to bet that. Yeah, I don't get it. The total in this game is a 6 over/under plus money on the over. I also don't hate that over in reality. I'm not getting crazy here. Like you just take the better number, but
Well, no, I mean maybe that over. But like, okay, I'm looking at the Pittsburgh at home against Detroit. Two teams that need to win. Pittsburgh's a minus 145, and they are substantially better than Detroit to me. And you're saying that Buffalo is as much better than the Capitals as the Penguins are the Red Wings? Like, just get out of here. That's stupid. Okay, yeah, we're betting on the Washington Capitals, not financial advice. If we're playing them in daily fantasy, might I suggest to you Mr. Alex Ovechkin? Believe it or not, he hit 30 goals. I would like to say my TikTok saved Alex Ovechkin's season. Cannot confirm nor deny that statement, but I believe it to be true. Therefore, it is true. Anyone besides Ovi stand out to you on this Washington roster?
God, I mean, it's like I feel like the answer. So okay, but first, big note is that they returned TJ Oshie to the lineup against the Detroit Red Wings. They really didn't play that great of a game. I mean, they went into shutdown mode. That's really the reason why I can't actually bet that over. It was Ovi, Oshie, McMichael, Oshie right back on that top power play. So that would be your kind of obvious correlation. Carlson played 30 minutes, and I don't want to steal your thunder because you were the one that double checked this before we started. I mean, I'm looking at it now as well. But Nick Jensen took over a lot of the Sandin run. He had 25 minutes and just played just a ton of minutes with Faravari and Carlson. Those are the three guys that are getting all the run. There's options on this Washington team. I don't know if this is really the best DFS game in the world, like I'm kind of alluding to, though. I'm definitely not going
Yeah,
to the Sabres, but I mean, you could probably just one off Ovi and be fine. Like, or you say is Ochi cheap enough to just say who cares? I mean, maybe like it's close. It's kind of borderline for me.
yeah. The main problem is that Ovi genuinely profiles pretty excellently. Like, especially if Jared McCann doesn't wind up playing. I've posted in the Discord already. None of this injury news that we know is confirmed in like the Excel spreadsheet that I have with all the colors and whatnot. But like you look at the top of the expected fantasy point list, and it's Matthews, Kucherov, Panarin, Ovi, Kachuk, Trocheck, Reinhardt, Sid. I mean, you're talking about dudes who are almost all above 8K except for Trocheck there. Um, and like Ovi is in a good matchup. The Sabres have been horrific defensively. We,
Yeah,
we know this to be true. Like their last 10 don't look good. They're not in the playoffs, which newsflash means they're not very good. So Ovi is in a genuinely good spot.
yeah,
Oshie's cheap. McMichael's cheap. Like you could stack 4 Capitals and still be below the 55 average players out, cost if you take some values around Ovechkin. Like Nick Jensen makes sense, like you said. I don't have anything else to add on him. He's not anything special, but if you can get a blocks bonus and potentially an assist for 2,600, you'll do that every time.
yeah.
So like that all makes sense to me. It's just not the most appetizing of game environments. So maybe if you do that, you would want to say, okay, well maybe JJ Paterka gets on the board or something for 4,700. I'll say it again. He's been the Sabres' best player. He's been their most reliable fantasy asset, which is crazy to say on a team with Tage and Darlene, but like I believe it to be true. And he's only 4,700. It's not like it's a great matchup, but it's also not a terrible matchup. So maybe that's sort of how you build in like a Washington stack that actually needs to like go rather than just play defense. Because yeah, you're right. If this game is, it's literally going to be the Buffalo Detroit game from the weekend where Detroit scores
Mhm.
3 goals immediately and then nothing happens for the next 55 minutes. Like it was, just kind of chaotic. As far as Detroit was just playing defense and that was it.
Yeah,
And same goes with Washington Detroit. Now that we've placed our money line bet on Washington, I can totally see Detroit squeezing Buffalo to death, Washington squeezing Detroit to death, and then Buffalo squeezing Washington to death, and just the impossible triangle of absolutely atrocious hockey games.
Mhm.
So that all makes sense. And yeah, I don't know. Like that's literally the one way I think I would play this game though, between like an OV line stack plus Paterka going the other way. If you really want to mix in a Carlson or Darlene, by all means go ahead. It's just not super exciting to do so.
Yeah. Everything you said is accurate. I think Ovi Jensen is the way to play it. I think I'm just gonna end up fading it, and it's only because I think Ovi could end up being pretty popular because he is. I mean, the price is right. That really is the end of the day. I mean, what we're looking at, and I'm going to go with the route of Washington gets the lead. If it's not
Yeah.
Ovi that gets them there early, then they will sit on it, and they're more than happy to win this game 2-0, 2-1, whatever. And I don't really see any. Again, Buffalo did, against Dallas, for example. Then they played the Tage Paterka tuck line a ton. No one else really got a metric ton of run. Balvin was with power. They played a lot. But again, you're just not doing it. I don't know. Quinn on the top power, or Quinn, Cousins, Benson on that top power play. Is there anything here if you're playing Washington though? Like we're kind of saying we need Washington to be competitive. We need them to be in a game environment. So like if you're playing Washington, is there a party that says, okay, there's actually a lot of value on the Sabres if that game were to go that way? So are you saying like if I'm overstacking Washington, I feel like I have to go full game stack, or is it unnecessary?
I think it's just Paterka. There's nobody else that I feel any sort of confidence in. But Ovi's not going to be owned. They're going to have like a 2.5 team total if they're underdogs in a 5.5. So like nobody's going to play Washington. So I think I like it more than the field will. Like that's for sure. It's just a matter of figuring out like can I really afford to use roster spots on guys like Oshie and McMichael who just don't do anything 70% of the time. Like is it worth it for what their upside is? So let's get over to Columbus at Florida. Columbus last game was without Alex Nylander. That's in addition to Boone Jenner. They remain on the road, so I'm again not expecting Boone Jenner to play, but keep an eye on it since his situation has nothing to do with injury. We also don't know about Alex Nylander's injury, whether he will be good to go on Thursday. I would say this wouldn't matter, and maybe it doesn't, because Florida's gotten a little bit better in their underlines when you look at the last 10 games, but they haven't really turned it into much by way of wins.
Yeah.
They beat Ottawa twice. They good for you. You shut out Ottawa. Okay, but other than that, their last 10 is littered and just kind of shitty performances. And so there's a little part of me that says like, yeah, Columbus is the spot where you want to take values because they're going to play an absolute, like they're going to play Johnny Gaudreau 20 minutes in this game, almost certainly. And, is he a good play for 4,100 playing 21 minutes? I think so. And again, this spot's going to come with next to no attention. So this slate has a few high-end pieces. I don't love any of the high-end stacks, so maybe you can sort of play a couple high-end pieces around some cheap stacks like Columbus might offer. So I guess any interest in picking on this Florida side that we know is going to be fine in the long run? And secondly, any specific thoughts on what to do with the Columbus Blue Jackets here in Florida?
I'm not playing this game. I mean, it's first and foremost, it is a 6.5 minus 102. Florida is a minus 360 favorite. So pretty big total on the slate. Games are coming down in price quite a bit. There's only 3 6.5s. And Florida has a monstrous, as I just mentioned, implied team total. I'm just going to fade this game because kind of what you're getting to. I mean, they're rolling 4 lines, or at least rolling 3 lines right now. I don't really know where I'd want to go. It was Tarasenko, Reinhart, Barkov, the Chuck Montour, so it's very logical to go the Barkov line here. I wonder if it doesn't get a bit of ownership with that implied team total from Vegas. It's pretty expensive. Tarasenko coming up in price, 4,300 isn't crazy that role, and he is shooting. Of course, as soon as I don't bet him for shots, he's hit every other game for his over. Don't remind me. I just don't think I'm going to spend my cap here, but I can't fault you on it because Columbus is still terrible. So I'm not going to play the game. And that's about that. I'll let you load your thing.
Yeah, I kind of forgot that I could have been screen sharing as we were going through this, but whatever. So Florida offensively has not looked all that impressive. They're getting goal scoring, which, that could be attributable to guys like Sam Reinhart. It also could be a bit concerning because we've not seen them struggle to generate expected goals offensively basically all season. So I'm pretty reluctant to eat into heavy ownership because, especially when it's guys like Alex Nylander that are missing games, it's not like they're going to be playing like, you and me on the third and fourth lines in Columbus. They're going to be playing career AHLers who, guess what? They're probably very capable of skating up and down the ice and playing defensive hockey. They're just not capable of putting the puck in the net against NHL goaltenders and NHL coaches and whatnot, like scheme wise. So like I always worry a bit, like, uh, basically saying, yeah, this team that's replacing all offense players with like some defense, no offense players is worse because like uh, it's really not a better matchup in my opinion for like guys like Florida. And there's nobody on Florida you can trust. I mean, it's maybe Sam Reinhart, but for 7,800, he's the exact profile of a player who, like, if he goes out and puts up 6.3, you're kind of like, well, I mean, yeah, like he's gonna do that sometimes. Like, um, and paying almost 8,000 for the luxury of doing that, paying over 7,000 for uh, Barkov, who seems to be in full Barkov mode, where he just doesn't do anything if he doesn't get any points. Um, if he scores, you're kind of happy. He needs to score twice for you to be thrilled, and he's almost never hitting a bonus for you. So like I just don't think that makes a ton of sense, especially with Tarasenko likely to be one of the more popular players on the entire slate at
Yep.
4,300 and at least 3 shots in 4 of his last 5 games. Like the role is certainly there. It's just a matter of, what do you win when you're right? And it's okay, well, you got Tarasenko right. Can you guarantee enough points out of the almost 17,000? I guess it's what 15, yeah, okay, 15,000 in salary that Reinhardt and Barkov will cost you. Like you're gonna need a lot more than just getting Tarasenko right. And that's where I think the stack kind of falls apart for me.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah, that's the way
but
to put it, honestly. I think I just
if
like I'm just not going to play it, and you're like, here's why you don't
yeah,
play it. But yeah, not playing it. Columbus side of things, like this guy's getting minutes, but no one's really shooting a ton. I think I'm fading it in the Florida matchup, but Marchenko is at least interesting at 4,100. I feel like as far as upside, I mean, he seems a bit matchup proof, but it's
yeah.
like
Um,
he
I,
like he it's like I just don't think I care who he plays. Like he has a chance to break the slate, and he's done it many times over, and he's 4,100. Um,
Yeah, I think that's right. He's playing with Sillinger and Texier. Texier stepped into the top power play last game. So that's a sort of like cheap line stack that I could totally get behind. I think that
that's
makes all the sense
true.
in the world. Um, yeah, no, I mean, Texier, I think if he shot, he would be 4K. And it's like, I don't know. I get it. I get the hesitation, but also like he just needs a lucky goal or even 2 assists, and you're like, yeah, that's perfectly fine because paying 2,800 for him allows you to fit in an extra like Austin Matthews or something. Um, so I'm certainly willing to overlook obvious deficiencies in a player's profile if they're sub 3K. I guess is my point. But Marchenko, Sillinger, they're both north of 4 shot attempts over the last 10, so perfectly fine with them. And if you really want to play Zach Werenski, especially in like, MME type stuff with those guys, it makes sense. He's been very, very good. Um, but let's keep going. Detroit and Pittsburgh. I will just say I have no interest in Detroit here. Pittsburgh is
Mhm.
finally showing up. Like Evgeny Malkin looks locked in, and when that's happening, I mean, just watch out. you're, you're probably not accomplishing much. So, congrats in advance on the 4-point night, Mr. Dylan Larkin. But any interest for you in Detroit, or do you just want to talk about Pittsburgh?
I mean, I would again not shocked by this line entirely, but -148 for the home Penguins, 6 over under, -122 on that over. So not the highest total, but not the worst. But man, almost -150 on Pittsburgh. I thought it'd be a little bit closer to the mean. I think that goes to show, and I do kind of agree that Detroit's really not that great. I think they're very dependent on Larkin to drive the bus. And as I've said before, that's not a bus I want to get on. And I feel like he's a really good player, but he's not that good. I get it from the perspective of, Kane, Raymond, Perron, and Larkin are going to play a million minutes. There's a lot of different value pieces on this slate. Raymond's one of them at 4,200. He's had some very big performances. He had a 24 against Buffalo, but they're not playing Buffalo. They're actually playing a team that's alive in Pittsburgh. Can't believe I'm saying that this late in the year, but we are. Here we are. So, yeah, I'm not planning on playing anything here. They also really just ran one power play last game. Raymond, Gostisbehere, Perron, Larkin, and Patrick Kane played like all of the power play run. Just goes to show you that the Brinkett situation, which, man, again, you would have told me at the start of the year, Alex Brinkett, 10 games in, is not going to be on the top power play in a must-win game against Washington. I would have said, you're wrong and stupid, and he died. Fully healthy, just gone. I don't know what I'm stacking here, but I'm not playing. But obviously, it's Larkin Raymond if you are.
Yeah, both power plays came late in the third, so I don't know. Seems more like a relic of that than anything else.
But I mean,
I'm not playing anything either, so I don't care. We're not arguing about this holy shit. I think Pittsburgh should be like minus 190 here. I mean, it's pretty egregious that like I'm betting Pittsburgh as well. Like this line just sucks. So yeah, that's how I feel. I mean, Pittsburgh is just genuinely good. Sidney Crosby is really dragging this team, kicking and screaming. And again, like Evgeny Malkin has had a couple real big games for them and just genuinely looks like a better hockey player than he did in the first 6 months of the season. Like this month, it's just been unreal for him. And so that leaves you looking at a power play unit that sort of splits across the top six, Crosby, Rust, and then Malkin and Bunting. What's interesting is that Raquel and Bunting are both sub 4,000. Malkin is 5,400. So like while Sidney Crosby clearly is the bus driver here, like you are getting a pretty decent value in Pittsburgh too, to just sort of say, okay, Sid, like you can carry this team still, but if you get, 17 fantasy points, if the other guys in your power play get 17 fantasy points as well, guess what? Sid's not getting there for that price, but that definitely gets, Malkin and Bunting across the line. And then you mix in Rickard Raquel, who hasn't been shooting, but the last 2 games, if you really want to play this game, has a blocks bonus and then a shots bonus, or I guess not a shots bonus, but he has 4 shots and a goal in there. So like it's at least, you can squint and see the full line stack working. My main thought is to go double center, Crosby and Malkin. But the only thing that makes that difficult is I think the high end of the slate is really, really strong between Matthews, Kucherov, and Panarin. So I don't think I'll make it to Sidney Crosby's price tag.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I like Pittsburgh, but I do think it's very hard to play Pittsburgh and not play Sidney Crosby, but I think he's overpriced. I don't even know if I want to say overpriced. I just think it's hard to fit him in, like you're saying. The shot volume is the concern there, but we obviously know he can throw 30 burger with 3 shots on goal like he did against the Rangers. Like it's not out of the realm of possibility. So a decision to make.
Yep.
I think I'm honestly, I like Pittsburgh a ton. They're in my mix, but I'm not sure if I like them enough at the end of the day to make that play. We can move on to Philly at the Rangers. My God, again, as far as going back in time a couple weeks, if you could, and saying that Philadelphia would be completely and totally dust with 4 or 5 games left, whatever they got. They're plus 180 on the road to the Rangers, 6 over under, minus 110. Rest in peace to the Philadelphia Flyers. It was fun. Minus 218 on those Rangers. I'm probably not playing this game. I feel like this is totally the goaltending in Philly is completely and totally shattered beyond belief situation that you're going to play the Rangers. I don't play that way. It's not a bad play inherently. I don't think it's like entirely wrong, but I don't think this is an actually amazing matchup. And that is, of course, coming off of a 9-goal against effort where they not only sucked, the goaltending sucked, but I mean, Sealer and Drysdale were basically revolving doors for goals against, and that doesn't even get to Mark Stahl and Eric Johnson. So I'm not going to fault you. I would fault you, I think, if you played the Flyers. I think that would just be a foolish endeavor. But I can't fault you for playing the Rangers. I am not going to do it here. This is not where my cap's going to go.
Yeah. I don't know. I kind of think this game is pretty fun. Because obviously on the Rangers side of the house, I mean, you have literally, Panarin is I'm surprised to be noticing this, but like I'm pretty sure Panarin's playing better as far as underlying like expected fantasy points than he was even at the beginning of the season when we were like, holy crap, this is a new Panarin. Like he's just taken this and continued it like throughout the entire season. And he's bringing along, Vinny Trocheck. He's bringing along Lafreniere with him. So like those three guys, they're pretty expensive to play, but it's not crazy. It's like 21,000. There's a lot of ways to make that work. And you're talking about still Philly having basically two main guys in Konechny and Tippett. And if they're going to score, which, they haven't been scoring, but they certainly could, where it's coming for low 6K price tags. I kind of like the appeal of that. Statistically speaking, this goaltending run from Philly is so extreme that even if we were to regress back toward the average, there is still so far to go that like you just kind of have to think that these goalies matter. I mean, Fedotov, obviously limited sample, but 811. Erson, last 10 games, 820. I mean, this is if they were half as bad as they were relative to the league average, they would still be the league's worst goaltenders by a mile. So like at some point, I think you just got to say like, look, like, yeah, Panarin's 9K. It's a little gross to consider, but like there's ways to make it work. I think you just jam in Panarin and that full line stack and you just say, yeah, like this, this Flyers team certainly was a fun story, but it's just not working right now. So just take advantage of that and just keep going. So
Yeah.
anything else you want to add to that?
No, I mean, I think it's like that is exactly the case for the Rangers, and I understand it. I get it. It's not going to be in my lineup tomorrow, and it's just because I think I just had created this. I'm never going to bet against goaltending, and I totally understand that this is different than other things. This is actually like one of the craziest ones, but I'm just not going to do it. Like I'm not
counterpoint. Did you play the McKinnon line last night?
No, I played freaking Philly, so I'm extra jaded right now.
Okay.
I only played. I played a mini. I had a Philly mini with Drysdale, Tippett, but I mean, still, like I played Philly and the Flames and another team 2-man, but I can't remember. It doesn't matter. It was
so
wet dog water. Dog. Shit.
So I understand.
I'm going to bed.
I'm speaking to someone who's just not very serious. Is what I'm getting at. So
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I made just Tuesday's pod was my Mona Lisa of the season, but just, Colorado won. There was no way to talk me off of it. It was going to be 40 to 35% owned. And I'm like, I don't care. It's literally the best play by so far. And I still miss cashing on the main slate by like 2 points because I suck. But
you literally just read the reason I didn't play Colorado. Like for me, I was like, I don't give a shit. They're 40%, and then the thing I'm going to kick myself for is I'm sitting there with a full game stack, Philly Montreal, and I completely went to the Flames, and I never looked back. And I still lose, but I don't lose by as much. I might win cash, and it's just stupid. But we can move on. Who cares about my $115? I literally made $115 lineup. I was pretty busy on Tuesday, so we can move forward. Again, the Rangers are to play. I don't think the Flyers are completely out of play. I do get it, but number one, we have no idea what that team's going to look like tomorrow, so just going to have to wait that out regardless. But we can move over to Ottawa and the Tampa Bay Lightning if you're ready.
Yeah, Tampa Bay, ready to steal my soul for yet another night of fun hockey action.
Minus 205. It is our highest total on the slate, 6.5 minus 115, just by a hair over the Devils and Toronto coming up in a couple. Or is it next? Might be next. Doesn't matter. But yeah, highest total as well. Just want to point that out.
Yeah, Ottawa's above Tampa on the expected goals. Shit, you know the drill.
Welcome to hell.
It's dumb. It's bad. It's Tampa. Kucherov is undefeatable. There's no way to actually conquer Mr. Nikita Kucherov. He's so good that apparently even Steven Stamkos and Anthony Cirelli managed to put up a hat trick for Stamkos last game. Like just magical stuff from a magical team. that has the pixie dust of Nikita Kucherov blessing them at all times. Must be nice to have someone who's just so good that nothing else matters besides like, yeah, just give this guy the puck and it'll wind up in the net. And it's like, okay, yeah, cool. That sounds fun. So
Well,
you
but
can
you
chase
heard,
that.
right? You heard he's a power play merchant and an empty net merchant, and he's actually not that good. Yeah, have you not heard?
I thought that was Austin Matthews after his empty net goal, his
No,
first of the
no.
season, like last week.
I don't know what, like, I really think there was a time where Spit and Chicklets wasn't that bad, and now every single thing I see from them is just legitimate nonsense, clickbait, garbage. It's like you can absolutely say to me it should be McKinnon that wins MVP, and I will say sure, I'm fine with that. But to sit there and try to argue that Kucherov is like basically the argument was like he should not even top three. Like Crosby should be in over Kucherov because he's a part. I'm just like you're doing this for nothing now. You're just being an asshole. Like fuck you, honestly. Like it's not. I don't know. I hate that stuff, but I'm also a fraud, so who cares? And a fish and stupid, so I can move on with my night. But Kucherov rocks, and I will not have that tarnish his good name. He has 139 points. Did you see the Hagel quote? It was actually pretty funny after the game.
Did not.
He had his 200th point or something. I think that was the right 200th career point, and he's like, or maybe it was 300. Maybe it was 300. I'm gonna look it up. I think he said like, yeah, Kucherov does that almost in a season. That's cool. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, no, that's that Kucherov
204.
guy.
200, yeah, 204. So yeah, well, yeah, 200. I think it was 2 games ago. But he's like, yeah, it's gonna get that almost in a season. It's really unbelievable. Like again, let's not sidetrack ourselves too much. You know, if this was just a Matt podcast, we'd be on and doing great things. But like we are so lucky this year to have Kucherov, McKinnon, and McDavid doing this. Austin Matthews doing what he's doing, and it just we have to argue about if these guys are worthy of the MVP. Like, get out of here. Like, this is unbelievable. Every one of them is so cool and so good. I will not fault anyone for having their take, but like, don't bring in some garbage. Don't call out one of these guys for being way worse. Like, they're all so freaking good. With that being said, I'm not playing Kucherov. Yeah, doesn't seem necessary to me, to be honest. Like, I get it for sure, but at 9800, I feel like I just need more volume coming from him to pay off that price. It's been a bit hit or miss. I'm not saying that he couldn't score goals. He definitely can. He has 43 of them, and he could get back to that. But it's just like, I think you just need a little bit more, especially when McKinnon, who I'm saying is his counterpart. No, McKinnon's not on the slate. What? Did you say
He is
McKinnon? No,
not.
Matthews. Matthews is the guy I'm thinking of. Matthews is 100 more. I'm like, what was I thinking of? I don't know if you're possibly playing both. But honestly, you could play them both. You might as well just play cash at that point, though, because you're just like, there's a lot of guys in the high threes, low fours to play on this slate, but I don't know how you're correlating it together. But I just like Matthews more pound for pound against New Jersey. So that's really the argument against it. And at that point, I'm just not playing Tampa if I'm not playing Kucherov.
Yeah, certainly not playing Tampa. If you're not playing Kucherov on the Ottawa front, not expecting Tim Stützle to play, but he's probably like, he's not been ruled out, but he's probably just like, he's always an option, I guess, is the point. That really didn't do much that I could tell as far as like, oh, this guy stepped into clear opportunity. But it was a game against Florida. They lost 2-0, so they just kind of, I don't know, mailed it in, phoned it in. If you want to play Claude Giroux between Ridley Gregg and Matthew Joseph, by all means, he's the obvious minutes benefactor of this, just because he's going to step into that Stützle role. Killing penalties on the top power play, 4,000 on DraftKings. It certainly makes sense. Like, Ottawa's going to be in a position where they're going to have the puck a lot, and we know that Claude Giroux is one of the best players still with the puck on his stick. Like, it's not crazy to me to see that he pays off that price tag. It's just a matter of, can you really, go to yourself and say, yeah, I played Giroux and Matthew Joseph, who does show up on the values here on the right side, over 8 expected fantasy points per game over the last 10 at just 2,800. There is something to that. it's just, yeah. I'm considering it, but that's mostly like a leverage play and like a,
Yep.
I want Vasilevsky to lose. So like, why not take guys who are kind of like in better roles than they otherwise would be for 6,800. So I can play like, talked about it. The Rangers won and Matthews, like something like that. Like you can make that work.
Yeah.
But otherwise, yeah, I think I'm not playing anything that's like expensive on in this game. So
Right.
let's get
Right.
over
You got
to New
yeah.
Jersey and
Yeah.
Toronto.
All right. While we kick it off to New Jersey and Toronto, I'm going to ask you one question. We were talking about the threesome for MVP. What about the threesome of the most absolute garbage, terrible seasons between three teams everyone believed in Buffalo, Ottawa, New Jersey? Who wins that as the biggest gutless loser of the season?
Um, it's got to be New Jersey. I mean,
I think it's got to be New Jersey. Okay, good.
the
I also
problem
go New Jersey, but yeah, go.
the problem is that the issues are so obvious that like
Yeah,
and even honestly like Ottawa is pretty obvious too. It's like they just couldn't buy saves, and with the
yep,
Sabres it's like, well, they were better defensively, so like what happened? And so that's sort of why it's a bit of a question, but I mean, who cares? We can
yep.
talk about the freaking eulogy for these teams at a later point. I'm here
Yeah.
to make money, damn it.
So let's get to this game. Last time out, we were talking April 9th or yesterday as of recording. 4 to 1.7 expected goals, 5 to 2 the final here. Toronto dominant against the Devils. I don't expect much different. Tavares had 1.2 expected goals. Of course, I bet him a point, and he had none. Tavares, Matthews, those are the guys that were shooting the puck the majority of the time. The Matthews Bertuzzi Domi line nuked, but it didn't really matter that much on the DFS slate. I'm assuming like Matthews didn't get there enough with how good McKinnon was. It's kind of funny they like that didn't work. Like you just probably been cashed. But with that being said, I mean, number one, do you have any interest in, as I'm mentioning, going the other way here with Tavares Marner, or are you completely a fraudulent loser and just play Matthews? I just wanted to at least raise the question because they're pretty cheap, both at 6,600, in my opinion. But you could go away just add Matthews as well. I don't know. I also point out Bertuzzi was not a top power play. It was the main five to start the year: Marner, Matthews, Riley, Nylander, Tavares.
Yeah, I don't think there's much of anything to like non-Matthews stuff.
Mhm.
Marner Tavares are going to combine you for over 13,000 in salary. It's obviously got potential to be a smash, but like, yeah, I don't think it's that enticing. You're not really getting any like value pieces with it. Versus with Matthews, you can drop in a Max Domi or Tyler Bertuzzi if you really want to offset some of that cost, like stacking wise. So I think there's sort of multiple ways to even just play Austin Matthews. So just do that. Like
Yep.
he's the goals guy. Like just you want goals. So I think that's the much preferable way to
Yeah.
approach things.
Just wanted to put it out there into the world. It should be mentioned. If you want the guy that should have scored and doesn't, John Tavares, perfect play. If you want the guy that absolutely should score and will, Austin Matthews, your go-to candidate. So, okay, anything, let's just go to the Devils. We at least have to mention them. I've already told you they got absolutely bullied last time out. Heishier was with Bratt and Bowers. That didn't last entirely. Timo got some run as well. They practiced. I don't remember what their lines are. I don't plan on playing it personally, but is there any thought here? Mercer also on the top power play. Should mention that as well. They did score. It was him that scored it. So no Jack Hughes. I think that's probably obvious if you're listening to this and you don't know Jack Hughes is out for the rest of the year. I'm not sure where you've been. Any thoughts on the Devils, or did I cover the things and who cares? They suck.
Uh, Pretty much that. I like Timo is an option. I think I like Timo more than like Marner, for instance. But I don't think you're going into this saying like Matthews and Timo and like leaving the game. So
Yeah.
I would guess you're trying to stack around that, be it on the Toronto or New Jersey side. Luke Hughes continues to play a pretty sizable role. 23 minutes last game, just continues to march along, having a pretty good season, all things
Yeah.
considered. I think he's really surpassed my expectations of what he would bring. And that, a lot of that has to do with no Dougie. Like,
Yeah.
that's a huge reason the preseason expectations were a bit muted for me. But I don't think that's terrible at 4,300 for Luke Hughes either. Maybe like a Timo Luke and then Austin Matthews. Maybe that's how you would do a little mini game stack, but
Yeah.
nothing crazy for me here. I don't want to play New Jersey. Like I don't want to play Nico Heischer, Jesper Bratt, or anything like that. So
Yeah.
I'm good to move on.
Yeah. Love Toronto. Love different ways of doing it, and don't like New Jersey at all. We have
all right. We finally found a team that DJ will play on this slate.
No, I mean, I think there's so far. I am definitely in on Pittsburgh, and definitely in on Toronto. Actually, you're right. 2 teams so far. We're good. But we have a couple more that I'm also in on. One of them being so. First off, let's just talk about Slafkovsky. I go up there, 44 burger, 3,900, and it's one of those things where like this guy has been unbelievably good, and like we were talking, like why did his price drop? Why is this happening? Everyone that played him, kudos to you. It was such a good play. I don't know what ownership came in at, but like it's helped you afford so much.
Yeah, he was 8% on a 13-game slate. They're playing the Islanders, so I'm guessing 8% is about right here. Certainly higher than like, higher than the average 3K guy, but also like, you can much get different around him. If you want to plug him as a one-off, I get it. There's no issue from me. He's been doing everything leading up to it, not just a hat trick game. He's been doing a lot, underlying wise that sort of said this was in the cards. So yeah.
On the other side of things, I mean, I think I'm in on the Islanders. Like, I think that's I'm gonna go to the Barzal Horvat well and let that pain just seep right in. Now the question is, do I actually click on Casey Cizikas, top line, top power play? Can't imagine they break that up after the 4-2 win against the Rangers. It looked pretty good. I don't know if I'm going to do it. It just feels like the dumbest thing in the world to actually say that you're playing Casey Cizikas, but at 3,100, I mean, it's not like he's actually completely useless, just mainly. You don't have to do it, of course. I think you're fine to just play the main 2 guys here, but it is what it is. Dobson's still kind of getting that 21-minute kind of run, maybe more if they're trailing. So it could be a thing where if you're playing Slafkovsky and some of those guys, you can consider him. Back to playing well. He's had back-to-back blast bonus pretty easily and points. So I think we forget he has 70 points on the year. At least I do sometimes. He has 60 assists. This guy is crazy. But I'm in on the Islanders for sure. I think this Montreal team is really good, but I think they're almost getting overrated at this point. But this game in general just kind of pops. So that over, by the way, the 6 over under, I like that over hit minus 108, and the Islanders are minus 205 favorites. So I like the over. I like the game. I like the environment here. I'm totally fine to play both sides. And it's just not even difficult for me to do as far as price is concerned, as far as how to do it. Let me pass it back to you.
Yes. These are 2 of the top 5 teams by the expected goals index on the slate. Their actual goals are also in accordance with what could be a high scoring game. And so really you're just hoping for a little bit of power play, contribution to really get this game sort of started. I kind of think if you're playing like Islanders 1, you just would want to play Cizikas with it. Like it's really rare that you see a line like that go absolutely nuts that you're really hoping for in a 10-game slate without the guy who's on the power play 1 with them and killing penalties in addition to that, meaning he's getting defensive minutes as well. Like it's really hard to see a game script where Cizikas just isn't playing as much as Barzal and Horvat are. So even though he sucks, like, that kind of needs to be factored in to you playing that line in general, not, okay, well, I'm going to play the 2 good players, but not the player who sucks, because theoretically that player who sucks is dragging down the 2 good players, more than, so once you've put those guys in your lineup, you're sort of saying, well, I don't care about that he sucks. So like, you just got to play him because I think the role and the usage will, be far beyond what a $3,100 player elsewhere in your lineup, on a different game randomly put into your lineup would actually contribute for you. So that, that's the main thing that I'm thinking about. Islanders just coming off the victory against the Rangers. I would be very, very, very surprised if after sticking with these garbage power play units and lines through some losses, if they beat the Rangers and go, actually now we're going to change it because we're down 1-0 after one period. Like that just doesn't seem like it's in the cards either. So I would prefer the first line. You got to make an argument though for the second line as well. Nelson, Palmieri, Holmstrom. You get Riley on that second power play, who continues to be a productive punt-ish defender at 3K, not quite 2,500, but he's getting possibly 16, 17, 18 minutes. He's shooting a bunch, and he's got a power play role with good players also in Nelson and mostly Nelson, but partially Palmieri as well. He's still fine. So yeah, a couple good ways to go there. Montreal, you know what you're doing. You're playing Slavkovsky and his line if you want, but you're playing the top line. I don't think there's anything into chasing the 9 goals he scored against Philly. So like Gallagher and Dvorak show up on let me check. Is this actually the expected? Because that's really interesting that it's Slavkovsky, Gallagher, and Dvorak that show up on the Montreal side of the house, because I believe they are all of the multi-goal games from last game.
Sure.
Yeah. Maybe I was just sitting on a landmine and just completely missed it.
You just missed winning the slate because you play all those guys. You throw in McKinnon
with McKinnon, yeah.
Yeah, and even at that point, just throw in Stamkos and Kucherov, I think, and you're good.
Well, no. What you do is you play Colorado 1 with Makar, and then you just play the 3 Montreal cheap guys, and then you just you count your money. You have like 300 points.
Anyways, we have Dallas and Winnipeg next. Are you ready to move on to a game between two good teams that have the lowest topic for the lowest total on the slate? What?
I mean, this is the only game between two good teams on the entire slate, by the way. I mean, there are 10 games, and this is like literally the one good game. It's pretty crazy.
I will definitely be having words with the fans in Seattle and Jose next about that take. But Winnipeg and the Stars plus 105 on the over 6, minus 148 for those Dallas Stars at home against the Jets, who gave up like 52 shots. And still found a way to get the win in overtime against the Nashville Predators. I think the biggest problem with this game is, while I kind of like Dallas, I don't actually think Winnipeg is any team I ever really want to stack against. And that's coming off a game like I just mentioned. And I don't really know what I would do with Dallas. Like, I think it's down to the 2 lines, but Sagan, Duchesne, and Marchment can definitely steal some thunder there. I don't know. I'm not going to end up playing this game. I can already tell. They did go back to Connor, Scheifele, Velarde, our boy Nikolai Ehlers. Like, once again, just 10 minutes. See you later. Perfetti, 9 minutes. We'll see you later as well. They're just a weird team in Winnipeg that seemingly doesn't ever want to win. They're just like, we're getting shellacked, and we're just penned in our own zone. Let's bench the good players. And it didn't fix anything. So I don't know. I'm not interested. But Connor, Scheifele, Velarde, do it if you want. I'm done.
Yeah, I mean, I have no interest in Winnipeg, so that's the long and short of that. They're really cheap relative to normal prices. If you really are like, yeah, Winnipeg 1's my line. I played Scheifele, Ehlers, Velarde when Velarde had the hat trick, and you go back to it. Sure, but like, they're on the road in Dallas, like just not appetizing.
Yeah, and that's the problem, is like, there's one team with perfect correlation. A lot of the offense is going to run through, and then there's another team that's better than them that has 3 lines, and I think I'm just going to punt it off.
So here we go. This is where we figure out the Jamie Benn situation, because Wyatt Johnston remains very good. He had a great game against the Sabres. He's up at 6,000. He scored, his millionth goal of the season. I mean, if this guy doesn't pass Austin Matthews, Okay, well, thank you for your input. If he doesn't pass Austin Matthews this week, I mean, I'll be surprised. Is sort of where I'm at on Wyatt Johnson. He's just an absolute freakazoid, and Jamie Benn is right there alongside him at 5-on-5. And Jamie Benn, unlike Wyatt Johnson, gets the first power play run, and the power play is like running through Ben. He's shooting a bunch. Like, I mean, it's just my absolute worst nightmare. But we can make it all back on Jamie Benn because even though he burned me on Tuesday, I mean, he was the reason I did not cash, like quite literally, because getting 2.8 for that salary was, a death blow on the slate. Nothing really changes about the matchup. The Winnipeg's not been playing very well. Yes, they're not quite as bad as Buffalo, but I would guess the field is much higher on Winnipeg than really they should be, given their recent run of form. So I could totally see myself paying 11K for Wyatt and Jamie Benn and just running back that mini stack. There's a lot of statistical backing to it. Like just everything is there for Wyatt and Jamie Benn. They both even get defensive minutes as well. So like, yeah, Stankoven's playing 12 minutes because he's a third line forward. So I don't think you play him, but I mean, like anytime you can get 16, 17, 18 minutes of Wyatt Johnson, you can get 18 minutes of Jamie Benn. The way they're playing, I don't really see how you're not doing that. So that's my primary interest. Very intriguing that Rupe Hintz made his way onto the sheet. I don't know if I've seen him here on a full slate in the entire season. 12.2 expected fantasy points per game over the last 10 on the heels of 5.5 shot attempts per game in that stretch. So maybe just maybe there's something to Dallas one that we've been missing all year. Just they haven't done much for us. But maybe this is a time that they're sort of they're showing a little bit of something. So maybe you can play Hintz Robertson and just sort of make this a Dallas onslaught or something if you want to play Wyatt and Ben with it and get crazy. So I'm considering that. I gotta say, if you're looking to play some mid-tier plays, Dallas has chock full of them, and I really like the matchup for them. Next team.
Next game, the game of the night, San Jose, Seattle. I believe, do we have confirmation McCann's out? I don't remember now.
He practiced today, so kind of feels like he might be back in.
Okay.
Not confirmed though.
Let's go with probably. That's a good place to put it. This is a Seattle team coming off that 5-0 win against Arizona, where I mean Beniers, Bjorkstrand, Burakovsky now. That's a top power play or a power play. Who cares? Again, it's a Sharks game, right? I mean, we're playing the Sharks here. We're playing against the Sharks. We're playing, so I don't know.
Like at the aquarium.
I like Seattle because they're playing the Sharks, and I look and I don't know. Is there any good? I mean, start with both power plays. Okay, one of them has Justin Schultz, one of them has Riker Evans. Are you interested in either of those pieces to start? How about we just go? Make this easier.
I've been chasing Justin Schultz all season, so to see him have a bonus in a multi-point game last time out is pretty disheartening. I don't think I'm going. I don't think I'm going back to him at what I imagine would be somewhat, elevated ownership because finally he has something for people to latch onto. So like, yeah, I'm not very interested in Seattle whatsoever. Like I gotta say, without Vince Dunn, I think this team is just dead in the water. So like, yeah, they scored 5 on Arizona, but they had like 1.4 expected goals and gave up like 5. Like, I mean, they got catapulted like territorially. So it's just a matter of like, yeah, that happens sometimes.
I just want to mention first 5 minutes, still lock, and McDavid's out. You did your team, right? You're good. Just want to make sure you're good.
Yes, I am all set.
Okay. I mean, again, I think I'm trying to make the case for why Beniers, Bergstrand, Burakovsky makes sense. To myself,
like it does. It's fine. It's fine. I would rather play the chalky expensive pieces than the unowned expensive pieces to play the chalky Seattle stuff that I just don't feel strongly about. I guess that's sort of my my thought. If you really want to play 3v3 roulette with your defensemen and goalies, you can just play, Matthews with Seattle and just like, yeah, maybe you hit the right combination of, Schultz, Evans, goalie, and whatever punt of the day there is at 2,500. You could certainly try that out. Be my guest. It's just not like Seattle's just not good enough for me to really care about that being sort of like my desired approach. Oh, looks like the slate's over anyway because St. Louis scored 4 goals in the first 10 minutes and I played Peter Mrazek. Okay.
Duke!
Did he score?
He scored.
Okay, that's very funny.
The fourth.
All right. Congrats.
Okay, yeah, congratulations. I did also mention the slate was over, but I didn't know when it was a good time, so I'm glad you saw. All right. Well, Seattle is in play. They're really, the thing is that like there's a ton of values on this slate, and they keep coming up over and over again, and yet Seattle is also all the value on this slate against San Jose. So I just don't know if they're really going to be that chalky. Like, is that the concern here? Let's just finish the point.
Wait, what's your argument to why they won't be popular?
No, I mean,
wait, what?
They're going to be. I'm not like, I guess the argument isn't if they are or aren't. It's that, is there a chance that maybe guys like, the Pittsburgh cheap stuff, Raymond, Slavkovsky, what else do we talk about? Freaking, I don't know, mainly those guys. Yeah, you're right. Seattle's going to be chalky. We're done. You're right. My bad.
I don't see any way that the projections will get you. Like, if they couldn't get Montreal and Slavkovsky up above 10% against the Flyers, like I think that's the most likely place to pull ownership from, just because like Slavkovsky's actually on a good line. The one place that I would want to check in on is Detroit. If we're somehow seeing like Larkin projected for like 14% ownership, then maybe Seattle comes in a bit lower than expected because builds are just going to filter more mid-tier. If that's the case, but I don't really see that happening. So Pittsburgh and Seattle will certainly be competing for ownership, like as far as the Bunting, Raquel, Burakovsky stuff is concerned. But Seattle's just not a team that I really care for playing, I guess, is my argument. And if I were, I would probably just be playing Shane Wright in what I think will be his last game of the year on the big club. So that's the swan song goodbye till next year for Shane Wright, who is going to be one of my favorite breakout players next year. Two ways around it. So just gotta hope they get a new coach in the meantime.
Yeah, 100%. There's plenty of coaches that should be fired. Some of them probably in a 5-mile radius of me. But that's also one of them, very far away. I was a proponent of that happening after playoffs. I think he was a detriment and still is. Now, we talk about teams on opposite ends of the spectrum in a sense that maybe both coming into the year thought they had hope. Only one of them will be making the playoffs in the LA Kings at home against everyone's favorite band of misfits, the Calgary Flames. It's a 6 over-under plus 105. You may be thinking, I just heard that was the lowest on the slate, because it's tied, as I said, tied for the lowest total on the slate, minus 192 for the LA Kings as they try to hold on to third in the specific division. That's right, the specific division of the Pacific. All of that hopefully give you a chance to come up with anything for this game. I don't like it. I'm not playing it.
You want me to come up with something? Here's something. No. You can't make me.
I literally was like stalling, thinking like you were clicking, and I was like, please keep clicking. I have nothing. Kempy's good.
No. Okay. Like value-wise, I would think value-wise, the only thing to keep an eye on is the Fiala Dubois Laferriere line. They were certainly going last time out against Anaheim. The team lost, which probably is why they were getting them going, so to speak. But like Laferriere led the team in 5-on-5 ice time. Dubois is cheap. We know Fiala's probably too cheap at 5,700 for the upside he possesses. It's an incredibly low floor stack. But like again, Victor Arvidsson probably gets ownership because projection systems apparently cannot project him high enough. Like I don't get it. Again, I thought I was sort of an Arvidsson guy. I've realized over the past 2 weeks I'm absolutely not. So like any way you can play LA that sort of leverages on that fact, I think makes sense. And like Fiala, Leferrier, Dubois, if it sticks as a line, works for me. So let's I'll just say that is like the one place I would look to in this game, and move on from there.
Okay, let's close it out. I'm going to ask you one question before we close it out. We're at the hour 5 mark, so let's add more to that. I'm sure people are just sitting there like, at 5K to first, please give me at least 2 hours. What is going to be the chalkiest stack of the night, in your opinion?
Beniers, actually, no, it's probably going to be Wright, Eberle, Schwartz.
Okay, and that's going to be paired with just
The
Toronto.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think Matthews in particular. The problem with Toronto then is whether it's Nylander, Marner, obviously different lines for Matthews, whether it's cheaper stuff like Domi and Bertuzzi, whether it's Morgan Riley. Like, there's a lot of ways to stack around Matthews that makes me think the stacks won't be that popular. Like, in a way that like Colorado 1 was so obvious that like if you played McKinnon and you played, Drew and Lehkonen was the next guy in, obviously. If you play Matthews and you play Bertuzzi, there's like 4 guys to be the next guy in, and it's not super obvious which one it would be. And then maybe Point Kucherov, I think could get up there in ownership as well. I'll be surprised if the Rangers are chalky, honestly, but we'll see. I certainly am leaving open the possibility that they are. But frankly, again, I much prefer the expensive chalk than the cheap stuff on the slate.
Yeah, and I guess I wonder about Florida just a little bit, just because it fits nicely. But I think you make too many good points about how they're not going to get there because they just haven't been that good. But okay, that's good. I just thought that'd be maybe a good. I mean, we kind of mentioned it along the way, but maybe a good little recap. This slate just feels a little bit odd. With all that being said, and just kind of, I'm going to take the Islanders off the board here. Might just go 4-man with Cizikas and Dobson. I might end up having that. I'm not going to confirm it, but definitely a 3-man Islanders with Barzal, Horvat. But that's going to be my first stack of the night. And like you're saying, like I love it. I think it's in a good spot. Maybe a part of me is thinking it's an important game as well, but I don't think it's going to be that chalky. I think people are starting to really get in on I respect Montreal. And just because they're fun doesn't mean they can't give up goals against in bunches. So that's my thought process.
Yeah, I think that's I like that stack. I think it gets a bit of coverage ownership wise, so that's it makes sense to me. I will go across the city to MSG and take the Rangers against Philly. Trocheck, Panarin, Lafreniere. I think you just play all 3 of them. They obviously have monster nuclear games in their arsenals. Even if Panarin's popular, I do think that the prices of Zibanejad and Kreider make power play stacking pretty common here. Adam Fox being 7,300, maybe he's not like a guy that gets slotted in there because when he was 6K, he was getting sort of just thrown in with Panarin stuff. If you have the money, I would honestly consider Fox as well. Like, there's really it's very different the way Adam Fox is playing as of late compared to like say last year. So he's a bit more fantasy friendly. And again, this is a slate where salary matters certainly, but it's not everything. So maybe just spending all your cap on like 4 guys in one game is actually a fine way to go about things and sort of consolidating your bets. And no better place to do that than against the freaking Flyers at this point in the year.
I'm gonna let you go next. If you're ready for your second one, because I don't want to take it. And I feel like you've built the perfect thing if you do it. So I'm gonna let you go first.
I doubt.
Are you not ready at all?
So I was going to take maybe a bit of a weird stand because I don't know why not get a little weird. But I was actually going to do the Giroux, Joseph, and then take a power play 1 defenseman in Ottawa, like Chikrin or Sanderson, because like the problem is, the problem's obvious. Like Ottawa's not very good, but the thing about Tampa is that like they don't have the puck very much. And yes, they're good defensively without the puck, like they've shown that. But like obviously Brady Tkachuk is who you'd want. He's super expensive, but as long as Stützle doesn't play, Claude Giroux 4K, like there's upside there. There is really good upside there. No one's going to play it. No one's going to play his line mate in Matthew Joseph. I have no idea why Matthew Joseph has really strong underlying performance metrics over the last 10 games, because it looks pretty shitty when you look at his game logs. But like, I'm just going to trust that and say for less than 7K, those two guys can get me something. They get me 2 goals. I'm thrilled. And then you know, if you want to sort of build upon that to fit the quirks of this little segment we do, Jake Sanderson at 4,300 is on the power play 1 with Claude Giroux, coming off back-to-back box bonuses, has goals in 2 of his last 3 games. Like, he's priced very differently from Chabot and Chikrin. And yes, I said last slate he might just be Brock Faber East. But guess what? If Brock Faber was 4K now against, you know, like no ownership, and I was taking a guy who correlated with him who was also a value, like I would at least consider it. So like, yeah, I'm going to feel like a donkey 90% of the time, but 10% of the time, it's a super powerful stack. It makes a lot of sense from just a pricing dynamic standpoint, and it takes advantage of some of the recent news that we have on the slate.
Okay. Then I will take Malkin, Bunting, Carlson.
Okay.
And we'll we go. I mean, I think it's my lineup is very, very high correlation. I mean, I did kind of one thing I didn't want to do in this slate was just go with 2 teams that were in very must-win spots, and that's exactly what I did here. But whatever. I'm not sure if this is what I'm going to play exactly, but I do like Pittsburgh a lot. So whatever. Maybe I do. Who cares? You can't stop me. 2 teams
I won't
in 2
try.
good spots that are also in a must-win spots, and we'll play those guys a lot because they have to win. Who's to say that's a bad idea? Me. Let's do guaranteed goals. Let's get out of here. Let me pull it up. Yeah, last time we were, I don't even know. What did you say last night? We were 1-1 each last time we did this.
Yeah, I don't remember what I said for guarantee goals last time out. I could have said the guys who had a hat trick. I could have not. Honestly, I will never remember.
You did do them. It doesn't matter. Okay. Well, perfect.
Yeah.
We don't need to. You can go first. If you like.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Wyatt Johnston, for yet another goal on this blessed eve. 6K Wyatt Johnston. Who cares? Jam it in all the way to the glory land.
I thought you were going to say glory hole. Like I was just so ready to be like, what do you say? Okay, that is good. That is fun. I do like it. I will go. Let me think here. You're at the 6K range, right?
I'm left at 5K.
Okay, I'll go high low. I'll go Ovi. Let me take Ovi. I'll grab the obvious.
The dream's not dead. Caps to the playoffs. Caps to the cup. I'm all in, baby. My preseason sleeper. All right.
Yeah.
5K left. I'm going to take JJ Peterka on the other side of that matchup, just to spite you.
Okay, I'll take Burakovsky.
Yeah.
You said I
think
Peterka.
Yep. Yeah. 4 pretty good guarantee goals. So
those are way too good. That's better than normal.
Yeah, I'm really glad I got the Ottawa second line tout in to make sure that we had some absolute nonsense at the end of the show.
We really did throw in like I was like, what is the not chalkiest but also most obvious bullshit in the world? And you're like, Ottawa 2 is the only saving grace here that makes us not the biggest fish. Great. I am a fish, and my name is DJ, and Matt, close us out.
Yeah, so I'm on Twitter at Fake Moods. DJ is at DJ_Mitchell94. If you are somehow just finding us, I'm sorry. I don't know why you signed up, or why you signed up. I don't know why you signed up to watch us on this terrible DFS slate. But if you liked what you saw, make sure you get in the MSP Discord at Morningscape Pod on Twitter. DM one of us. Doesn't matter. Just shoot us a DM. We'll get you the link. It's all set up. It's free. And we talk about every slate in there, not just the Tuesdays and Thursdays that we do podcasts for. Also, if you're listening to this on the podcast feed, we are over on DJ's YouTube channel. The link is in the description. Make sure if your name is MN Matt or Mr. Educational in the Discord, you hop into the MSP final contest that I will send out later this evening. And I think that's everything. So, DJ, anything else you want to say before we go?
A lot of content coming. We have more Zamboni drafting after this week. I think we're going to be doing a stream with Badge Bros, right? Wednesday. And I'm also doing one with Billy Jones on Tuesday night. And then we'll probably be doing some this weekend. I'm just maxing the Albatross right now like a true sicko. And once I'm done with that, we'll get right back to the good stuff.
Indeed. Looking forward to getting into the Zamboni streets. I've been liking my drafts more and more as time goes on, which is kind of strange. Normally I wind up like hating it more. But I don't know, something about the strategy of it just appeals to me and how uncertain everything is as far as Zamboni drafting and what's the actual optimal combination. But we'll discuss all that and more in the coming days before the playoffs start. So yeah, more to come there. That'll do it from us. Thank you all for listening. From Doug, from DJ, and from myself, have a good slate, everybody, and we will see ya.